Good afternoon, my name is Sandra Lobón and I would like to present you on behalf of my colleagues Baila, Blanco, Casasús, Bertolín and Joy the next study entitled Effect of Condensed Tannins of sainfoin on the fatty acid profile of used milk and lamb's meat. This study was conducted at esta, a research center in Aragon, Spain. In recent years, consumers have become increasingly concerned about the nutritional quality of food. Health professionals have recommended increases in the intake of polyunsaturated fatty acid in human diets, especially PUFA omega-3, and reducing the ratio of PUFA omega-6 omega-3. Lamb meat, compared with monogastric meat, is characterized by present higher percentage of saturated fatty acid due to the process of biohydrogenation of unsaturated fatty acid conducted by ruminal microorganisms. In this way, meat lamb could be perceived as detrimental for human health. However, it's important to emphasize that not all saturated fatty acids are considered to have the same effect. In addition, lamb meat presents low omega-6 omega-3 ratio and is an interesting source of conjugate linoleic acid and linolenic acid, which are related with positive effect on health. Condensed tannins, or also called proanthocyanidins, are secondary compounds of plants. They have been used to inhibit biohydrogenation and consequently can be useful to enhance the concentration of healthy fatty acids. Sainfoin is a legume extensively used in the Mediterranean area. It's a high-quality forage with a medium to high content of condensed tannins. In a previous study, raising sainfoin during lactation improved the fatty acid profile of light lamb meat compared with lambs from use raising alfalfa or fed indoors at total mixed ratio, even after a finishing period of concentrate. However, milk fatty acid profile was not registered, and the subsequent fattening period might have partially diluted the effect of sainfoin. To determine if the effects are due to the condensed tannins, the administration of polyethylene glycol will be useful as it can bind and deactivate the condensed tannins in the rumen. Therefore, the objective of this study was to evaluate the inclusion of condensed tannins from sainfoin in diets of lactating ewes on the fatty acid profile of their milk and the meat of their suckling lambs. The experiment was conducted during spring of 2019. After lambing, 20 Ras Aragonesa ewes and their male lambs were allocated to an individual pen and randomly assigned to one of two feeding treatments. The feeding treatments were fed-fresh sainfoin and fed-fresh sainfoin plus polyethylene glycol. The fresh sainfoin was offered ad libitum twice a day, and the nutritive value was presented in this table. Concerning the protein content, it was 11% and the condensed tannins content was 45 grams. The treatment sainfoin plus polyethylene glycol received a solution of polyethylene glycol drenched just before offering the diet. Similarly, the use of sainfoin treatment received the same volume of water in order to avoid the fact of oral administration. Besides forage, all youth received 200 grams of barley per day, and water and mineral blocks were offered ad libitum. The trial was conducted during lactation period and lasted 28 days. Lambs suckled their dams ad libitum until they reached 10-12 kilograms of body weight, when they were slaughtered as suckling lamb category. Once a week, ewes were milked and a sample was collected. After slaughter, the suckling lamb carcasses were chilled at 4 degrees for 24 hours in total darkness. Then, the carcasses were split and the longissimus thoracis L-Dumbrium muscle was extracted. A sample was collected to determine the fatty acid profile of the intramuscular fat. The fatty acid extraction and methylation was carried out following different methodologies according to the matrix, and a gas chromatograph was used for fatty acid determination. Regarding the statistical analysis, fatty acids in milk were analyzed using mixed models, and fatty acids in meat were analyzed with a general linear model. Now I'm going to present the main result in milk. More than 100 individual fatty acids were quantified. Nevertheless, I'm going to show only the most relevant individual fatty acids and the main fatty acid categories. The content of fat in milk was similar between feeding treatment, and the results are presented as percentage identified fatty acids. The sainfoin group is presented in blue, and the sainfoin plus polyethylene glycol is presented in blue lines. Milk from sainfoin use presented lower percentage of palmitic acid and higher percentage of linoleic, alpha-linolenic, and eicosapentaenoic acid than sainfoin plus polyethylene glycol use. The percentage of stearic acid and conjugate linoleic acid were affected by the interaction between the feeding treatment and the week of lactation. Sainfoin use presented higher percentage of stearic acid and lower conjugated linoleic acid during the first and second week of lactation, but similar values thereafter. The decrease of conjugate linoleic acid was unexpected, since a recent review of Fructose and colleagues concluded that the condensed tannins increased this fatty acid. Regarding the main categories, no effect was observed in saturated fatty acid and monounsaturated fatty acid, but the percentage of polyunsaturated fatty acid was greater in milk from sainfoin use. Therefore, the condensed tannins from sainfoin can be useful to inhibit the ruminal biohydrogenation since increase the PUFA content. The PUFA omega-6 omega-3 ratio was affected by the interaction of feeding treatment and week of lactation. Milk from sainfoin use presented lower ratio during first and second week of lactation than milk from sainfoin plus polyethylene glycol use. Regarding the fatty acid in suckling lamb meat, as in milk, more than 100 individual fatty acids were quantified. The intramuscular fat content was similar between feeding treatments, and the results are expressed as percentage of identified fatty acids. The meat of sainfoin suckling lamb presented lower percentage of conjugated linoleic acid and higher percentage of linolenic acid, and tended to have greater percentage of stearic acid. Concerning the main categories, only a tendency was observed in the PUFA omega-6 omega-3 ratio. The effects observed are in line with the effect reported in milk. However, meat was lower affected than milk. To conclude, the inclusion of fresh sainfoin in the diet of lactating ewes will be advisable to improve the milk fatty acid profile, as its condensed tannins increased the PUFA content and decreased the omega-6 omega-3 ratio. However, these beneficial effects were less reflected in the meat of their suckling lambs. Thank you for watching.